Good evening and welcome to the Vegan Hour. This is episode 21 on Tuesday, October the 29th. I got that all correct, I hope. Tonight I have Kiah Paetz from Plant Nutrition and Wellness. I got that correct too, I hope. Welcome along, Kiah. Thank you for joining us tonight. Let's just mention that the Vegan Hour is brought to you by Vegan Frothers, cruelty-free clothing, and also Scindian natural food products, which you can get Australia-wide, and they're all GMO-free and gluten-free and really yummy. So I just want to mention, whilst people are coming online, I can see people coming online, I just want to mention a couple of events coming up tomorrow night. If you're on the Gold Coast, drop into BKA Vegan Restaurant in Burleigh Heads, one of my all-time favourite fully vegan restaurants. And you can get, have you ever been there to BKA in Burleigh?
No, I haven't. No? I only just heard about it last week. It's new, really? Isn't it?
It's been open almost a year. It opened, I think, at the end of last year. So
yeah, I really need to go.
Yeah, drop in there, and on Wednesday nights you can get their bowl. They call it bowling night. Bowls of food for $12, and it's really good. So yeah, that's tomorrow night. And also coming up from the 1st of December is Vegan Frothers are doing their Tour de Froth. Now, the Tour de Froth is a bicycle ride that goes from the Gold Coast to Adelaide from December the 1st to December the 31st. And it is a life-changing bike tour that is raising awareness for alternative. Hang on, I'm having trouble with words now. And raising awareness for alternative and ethical choices for a better world. So you can join them from the Gold Coast to Adelaide, or different legs of the tour, and you can sponsor them as well. So that's the Tour de Froth, and this is the second year. They ran it last year, and it looked pretty damn awesome. So as you know, Kiah, they're pretty good people that do it too.
Yeah, yeah. And I was talking to them about them, and it sounds really cool.
Yes, yeah. Is that your sort of thing, riding a bike? Is that?
I'm probably not the best at it. I've got a bike, so that's a good start.
Okay.
I haven't fallen over recently, but my bike is one of those ones with the basket out the front, and it's pretty heavy, and it probably takes. I used to ride it to university quite a lot, and to the hospital when I was working there, and it would just be everyone would just zoom past. And I was just there riding along, so it's really fun. But I think I need to get probably a better bike to ride.
To ride to Adelaide.
To ride to Adelaide. I don't think my bike would make it very far. So yeah, it's on my list of things to do in life.
Well, you can ride some of the way and catch their bus the rest of the way. They have a support bus. So,
awesome.
So for those that have just joined us, if you've missed the introduction, I have Kiah Paetz from Plant Nutrition and Wellness. And tonight we're going to be talking all about health, or you're going to be talking all about health, and I'm going to be listening and learning. And hopefully our wonderful viewers have some questions for us as well. So I want to find out first from you, your vegan journey, your awakening, your awareness, why you're vegan, how you became vegan, and a few other things that may have happened along the way that fit in with the story. So please, let's find out about Kiah.
Yeah. So I think my vegan journey probably started about 10 years ago when I wasn't vegan. So probably first started when I got a dog, and surprisingly, if you meet me now, you'd definitely think otherwise. I wasn't really an animal person growing up. I didn't really understand the whole pet thing. I didn't really understand the whole dog thing. I didn't really have a good track record of keeping fish alive. So, and my parents never let me get a dog when I was growing up, and probably in those younger years, which I think would probably be quite important. I'd definitely get my kids to get a dog. Anyway, so we did get this dog. So her name was Cookie. And we got her off the side of the road in Hervey Bay, which, if you don't know where Hervey Bay is, it's this little town up in North
God's waiting room.
Yeah, yeah. So it's I bought her for about $50. She was covered in fleas. I was quite young at the time as well, but that kind of made me get that affection from dogs that I didn't really had before. Like honestly, previously, people would say, "Oh yeah, I need to go home and hang out with my dog," or "I need to do this for my dog," and I'd be like, "Why? It's literally a dog." But after I got her, things started to change, and I actually started to understand animals a lot more.
Isn't it wonderful when that happens?
Yeah, it is. And now I've got that was my family dog, and now we've got my own dog. Me and my partner have our dog Luna, who is literally I love her so much. She is just a part of my soul. But at the same time, even just having Cookie, it started to raise those questions for me. It started to, make me wonder, okay, why are we eating kind of animals? Like, why would we have chickens, on our plate? But, the dog, it's not on that same line. Like, what's the difference essentially eating chicken for dinner versus eating dog for dinner, and kind of that speciesism, why do we rank one animal more highly than the other? So it started for me to ask a lot of questions. One of my friends was vegetarian at the time, so I decided to kind of make that switch to go pescatarian firstly, and then I moved to vegetarianism, and then it was after a few different things that happened in my life. So I did have a bit of an eating disorder growing up as well, which I actually, one of the biggest things for me that helped me overcome that was actually going vegan, because in that journey, I started to learn a lot more about nutrition and educate myself about nutrition. And I there was I followed a lot of YouTubers, which, at the time probably didn't give the best nutrition advice, but it definitely kind of encouraged me to eat more, because, I saw these people thriving so well on a vegan diet. So then I also had a friend who worked with me who was vegetarian and pestered me every single day about why I wasn't vegan, and that did help as well. And then I made the transition to go vegan, and that was probably at the same time that I actually started to look into what was happening in the eggs and I didn't really eat too much eggs. It was more the dairy. I really liked yogurt, but I started to realize what was happening in the animal agriculture industry, and specifically the milk industry, and in terms of, how they take the bobby cows away, and how, cows are artificially inseminated repetitively. And that's something that it sounds quite stupid, but I think a lot of people, myself included, didn't realize that to produce milk, cows need to be pregnant, or they need to have, kids, a baby. And that's something a lot of people, we don't realize.
We don't really question it until we start thinking a little bit deeper about the whole what's going on,
Exactly. So then I because of my interest in food and being plant-based and everything like that, so then that kind of led me to go study a Bachelor of Nutrition and Dietetics with honours at QUT. My original first preference was IT and law, so it's changed a little bit. But anyway, so then I went and studied nutrition at uni. I was fortunate enough to get into the degree straight from school, because it can be a bit of a hard degree to get into. But it was awesome. It was awesome. It was a 4-year course, and a lot of people do ask me this question about what it's like studying nutrition, being vegan, in those traditional models, and it's actually fine. There's no real issues. A lot of the stuff that we learn is interchangeable to plant-based nutrition. We probably don't go in enough depth with plant-based nutrition, so that's why I've had to do a lot of extra study, but all the same principles generally apply, because human metabolism doesn't tend to change, and that's what we learn a lot about. So there's kind of basic fundamentals there. Saying that, we did have a lot of food practicals where there was a lot of animal products in, and I couldn't eat anything, most food pracs, for the whole year, which was really frustrating. But that's what happens when you go to university sometimes in traditional models, etc. So I think it's, I don't know if it will change anytime soon, but hopefully it's changing. And
has it been changing? Has the course changed over time? Do you know?
The course has changed itself, but those particular food science tracks, I'm not sure about. I don't think they have. I highly doubt they have. But dietetics in general over the last year at least has definitely changed. There's a huge push for a lot more plant-based nutrition stuff. So, you know, a lot of the webinars that are coming out now is all about plant-based nutrition. A lot of the emails we get from the big dietetic companies is all, you know, showing all this research about plant-based nutrition. You know, I got kind of an email the other day that was, they gave you like a plant-based meal plan as part of it. So I think it's good, because a lot of people, you know, that generally comes from, you know, a lot of dietitians out there must be getting clients that are asking for that too. And, you know, like we talked about just before, you know, the world, especially this year in particular, is changing and moving towards that more vegan and vegetarian diet.
Yes, a lot of awareness. So, I wanted to ask you, just in the middle of all that, I just wanted to go back to what you're saying, how you originally went pescatarian before you went vegan.
Yes.
And I just wonder, because that is something I hear from people, you know, and I think, what is this, I shouldn't use the word obsession, but why is it that people still keep eating fish? I mean, what was it for you? Why not, you know, why not just drop it, all the animal products? You know?
Look, it was so long ago. I can't even remember. I think it was probably a tasting. So I actually really didn't like meat growing up. Like, I hated steak. My favorite dish at home was African sweet potato stew, which is like sweet potatoes and rice.
Nice.
But I did like fish, especially tinned tuna and smoked salmon. I didn't really like any other fish. And I think because I originally got into it from like an animal point of view, but also probably I knew more about the health sides of things too. When I started, because like, you know, when I had like my eating disorder, I was really like, oh, you know, that's bad for you, that's good for you. And like a lot of things would be like, fish is good for you.
So you still believe that?
That's probably, exactly. That's what I probably still believe. And when you're in that kind of a disordered state of mind, you can't really make great food choices anyway. So I think that's probably where to be fair though, I don't think that stage lasted very long. I'm pretty sure I was pescatarian for about a month or two, and then I went to vegetarianism. It wasn't very long, but it was just kind of that bridge between, you know, meat and not meat. And also my family wasn't, I don't think that most, like a lot of parents get scared when their teenage daughter is, you know, going, you know, cutting meat out of their diet, because my family is South African, and so they're really like meat is like a huge part of our diet, or like traditionally, you know, boerewors and like biltong and stuff like that. So you know, it's definitely something that, and like, look, when that happened 10 years ago or so, like it was like hard for me in social situations. You know, there's like no one knew what even vegetarian was. You know, no one knew what, let alone veganism, which just shows how far we've come, because I think most people say, you know, vegan or vegetarian, at least most people are going to understand. But back then, definitely not as much.
Yeah, the awareness has increased amazingly. Every year it just astounds me how much more the awareness increases. So
which is awesome.
So you were so you did your studies. And obviously, being the intelligent person you are, you flew through them with flying colours. Yeah,
so all finished, thankfully. And then so during that time, actually, so from when I started my degree in 2013, I started my Instagram account at the same time as well. So for those who don't follow me, at the PlantBased _dietitian. But previously was Eat Clean, Drink Green, Stay Lean, and then Dietitian Daily. But what that allows me to get is a platform to kind of, you know, share my nutrition knowledge and share like my food as well. And looking back, if you see my photos, because I never really delete anything from back then, they're terrible in quality. Cameras have come a long way, but that was a really important thing for me to have. So I had that the entire way through my degree, and that is primary one of the big reasons as to why I started my business as well, because I did have that platform and I did have a bit of a following there, and started kind of making that name for myself in like vegan nutrition. So then when I finished university, I started Plant Nutrition and Wellness, which is my company that we have now. There's a team of me and another dietitian. And we're based in Hamilton, and we're based in Morningside and Springfield as well. And we see clients for a range of conditions, but one of our primary focuses is that like vegan nutrition area. And so we see one-on-one consults, and then we also do our workshops and seminars as well. And I'm trialing a few different things. So over the next kind of few months, things may change because I'm trying to, get more into the online space.
Right.
That. So we'll see how that goes.
Yes, that's for all of us that are time poor and make it easier to be online like we are now.
Yeah, exactly. Because I guess one of the big things I see is, just people don't know what to eat at all, or they don't know where to get the nutrition information from that's actually credible.
Right.
So, there's all this nutrition information that comes, like it's information overload. We have this, I think, in society because we have this instant access to information on from our fingers, with Google and Instagram and and TV and radio and everything. And, the thing about nutrition is it's not a regulated profession, and everyone has an opinion on nutrition as well. So in terms of, you could call yourself a nutritionist if you wanted to. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. You would actually probably get in no trouble at all if you called yourself a nutritionist.
What, without any qualifications?
Without any qualifications, yeah.
Wow.
You could also call yourself a dietitian without any qualifications as well. It's only accredited practicing dietitian that's regulated. So what this means is essentially anyone can go give anyone nutrition information, and they don't have to have any qualifications, or let alone, like, you could go buy, like I said, you could go call yourself a nutritionist. You could go buy a 6-week course of Groupon and call yourself a nutritionist. So like the big thing I always say is, make sure if you're going to see a nutritionist or a dietitian, make sure you look and see where their qualifications are from, so that they actually have reputable qualifications.
Yes.
For us as dietitians, we have code of ethics we have to stand by. We've got like a lot of things that we can't do and we can do, but then also we have to kind of keep up that CPD, like continual professional development each year, and to make sure we kind of keep our accreditation as well. So
I think one of the things I notice with the quality of the information that's available, when people are, you said that people don't know what to eat, and there's like an overwhelm of information, and how accurate is it? What's the quality like? One of the things that I pay particular attention to is like what I call the vested interest. Why are people saying a certain thing? And a lot of documentaries, like what you say, What the Health, and even Mike the Vegan. Have you heard of him? He does YouTube videos. He researches.
He's a bodybuilder?
No, definitely not a bodybuilder. No.
Okay. No.
He's no more a bodybuilder than I'm a space cadet. But he's he's not. Definitely not. But he's very, very good at researching the behind the scenes of the health information that is presented from, because I want to get into talking about game changers tonight, but one of the things that he's had to present videos on recently is all these other YouTube videos that are coming out trying to debunk game changers, right? So, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but he goes in and researches why, why are certain people picking on game changers, and then he finds out follow the money trail, basically. He follows the money trail, and he finds out who's behind and suddenly the credibility or the quality of the information that they are saying, and the suggestions that they are saying of, do this and do that, which has been proven through scientific research to be bad for your health. The reasons why they're saying it is because there's a money trail leading back to whoever's supporting them, and they're basically just a front man for a certain industry, So I think that's the hard thing for the average person, to go online and read this information and without knowing its credibility, because really a lot of these people, in my opinion, are just salesmen of sorts for, meat and dairy industry or similar, so it's very, I understand how difficult it would be for the average person. And I've spoken to a lot of people that pre-vegan, they were very confused. They just couldn't work it out. So this is what,
it's like research in general. Like, it's always like, if you're looking at it, like, and look, like taking apart a research paper is definitely a skill. I don't generally assume that the average person knows how to do it, but it's, I guess, one thing to always look at who's sponsoring the paper. I understand a lot of the time that, to be able to do these huge research trials, there needs to be money there, and the money has to come from somewhere. And generally, the Australian banana company is probably not funding it. But, I guess, if it's kind of like for example, say a milk company, right? And then the research is showing that, there's some sort of positive association there, which, surely there definitely will be in some studies. But, if it's funded by the milk company as well, you have to always kind of, take that into consideration and question a few things.
You definitely do, because I mean, why are they putting money into it? Why are they?
I always say exactly. I always say be skeptical. The best thing you can do is always be skeptical and question absolutely everything. And like you said, why they're doing things.
Exactly.
Why they're promoting this product? Do they have a vested interest?
Now, one of the things talking about all this, and I just mentioned a minute ago there, I mentioned game changers. This is one of the, in my opinion, the most motivating documentary on the power of plants that I've ever seen, and I was so inspired by it that I went back and watched it again 2 nights later at the cinema, and I didn't care that it was $20 a ticket. It was like, or $22 a ticket. It was like, doesn't matter. This thing has just blown my mind. I love it. It is fantastic, and it's and it's so mainstream. It became iTunes' biggest selling documentary in the first week. And it's going, it's on Netflix. It's going to be shared.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's going to be shared in China or something on some platform that is so bigger than Netflix that it's, it's like, wow. So suddenly we've got this hitting mainstream. Now, I believe you're actually in your field. You're seeing a positive response from this documentary already, which has only been out a few weeks. Is that right?
No, just have to say, I haven't seen, even though I haven't seen it.
You personally haven't seen it. Yeah.
I feel like I could pretty much see it because everyone has told me about it. I keep on hearing this every day. Yeah, I was supposed to watch it because I was supposed to do a talk with James Asty at the screening, but then they had to cancel the screening because of Netflix promotional rights or anything, because it was the day after that it just came out on Netflix. And I haven't gone around to watching it yet, so I'm planning to watch it tomorrow night. But saying that, I've seen, this immense growth of people interested in plant-based nutrition since that. So just in terms of what I've experienced, just in a day-to-day clinical perspective, so many more people are coming and seeing me, which is awesome because, that means that more people are interested in plant-based nutrition. So many more people are messaging me in general. So whether that be on Facebook, on Instagram or anything. So again, with a lot of them saying, I watched Game Changers and what do I do? Blah, 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 blah. A lot of my old clients have started messaging me as well, because a lot of my clients who weren't ever vegan and just see me for other conditions, and they kind of didn't go down the vegan path, but they knew I was. They're now saying, I've watched Game Changers. I want to go plant-based. I want to go vegan, which is awesome. Like that, absolutely makes my day. Because, I've seen these people from the other side where they've been like, no, I don't want to do it. And so now, this is awesome. Like, this is going to, make me feel awesome. And then, even just people who, I'm friends with, just people that you would never, ever, ever pick would ever kind of look into plant-based or vegan eating, and especially guys, I find, because guys are often the one that's a little bit harder to get a lot over the line. They're now going, oh yeah, you know, I'm thinking about going vegan. You know, what do I do? How do I start? Which is absolutely awesome. So yeah, so you know, a lot, like I've said, I haven't watched it, but you could feel like I've watched it because everyone's telling me everything that's happened in the entire movie. And you've just like, you know, it's insane. It's insane the absolute response it's gotten. And I think the reason why is because they've got a lot of, you know, famous athletes. And obviously it's been produced really, really well.
Yes.
You know, and it's making people question their beliefs. And I think that's something is, you know, you don't know what you don't know. Right? We grow up in this world where we're constantly told, yeah, we need dairy for your calcium, you need meat because, you know, we need protein. You know, you never think to think outside of the box. It's not until you see people who are, you know, athletes, right? You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, etc., that are thriving and doing amazingly, you know, eating a completely different way. That makes you kind of go, okay, you know, I should probably, you know, take a step back and probably listen to what this person has to say, because unfortunately when it comes from like your dietitian or anything, you know, people don't always want to listen, but so sometimes when it comes from
so what you're saying like, is it has a high level of credibility.
It has a high level of credibility when it's from influential people. Yes. And it is just so encouraging to hear that flow through that you're experiencing in your business, and if you're experiencing it, I can, you know, extrapolate that and say it must be happening, you know, with other dietitians, plant-based dietitians, and you know, it obviously it would be food companies, I'm sure, like, and all the kind of, you know, vegan restaurants in Brisbane or like probably in the world as well, and everything. I'm sure, like, you know, and look, you know, we saw that response, you know, with the Vegan Expo anyway, and that was the day before the Game Changers came out. I can't even imagine what it would have been like, you know, if it came out the week after, like if the expo was the week after. Oh, that would be absolutely insane. But so I think the big thing is Netflix. Netflix is probably one of the biggest reasons why that was such a big success. I think, because it's such like, look, you know, you got to realize why Netflix probably bought it, because they knew it was probably going to make them a lot of money. But who cares? You know.
Well, what's interesting, I heard a little bit behind the scenes about that Netflix wanted exclusive rights for Game Changers. And they said no, we're not going to give you exclusive rights because we want to be able to share Game Changers through a whole heap of different platforms. So they negotiated some way for Netflix to show it, and for them to still have the rights to show it through other areas other than Netflix. So that was,
I think that's why one of the reasons why the thing got cancelled the other night as well, because of the exclusive rights, or they were in talks with them and whatnot. I'm not sure.
Right. Okay. So
that's good.
Yeah. So you mentioned there a minute ago the Brisbane Vegan Expo. For those people that are watching that may not be aware, that was on not the weekend just gone, but the weekend prior to that. And you were there. You were giving some talks there.
Yeah, I gave a talk on the Sunday,
on the Sunday, and you had a stall there as well.
Yeah, I had a stall there both days.
Tell us all about your experiences there, how it was for you.
Yeah, so Vegan Expo was awesome, and super shout out to Liesl for organising such a fantastic event.
Good on
it was
you,
amazing. Yeah, she's a legend. Absolutely awesome.
Definitely.
So it was Brisbane's first Vegan Expo. I've never been to something that huge. It was massive. There was so many different, you know, stalls there. And so I had a little stall there. As a dietitian, it can be sometimes a bit hard when you have a stall at an expo because you're literally just selling services. But we had information on how a dietitian can help with a vegan diet, recipes. We were doing health screenings as well, so checking people's blood pressure, their diet, their BMI, like weight and height, and like the body composition as well. We also were what else were we doing? Oh, we were giving away our free ebook as well. So we're getting people's emails down to send that out to them as well. So that, and we like got a massive response, and we had like a lot of people just come chat to us. Like I think I probably, you know, I think just in those few days we got probably made 400 or 600 emails for like sending that ebook out.
Wow.
And so, you know, that just kind of like, and like not even everyone wrote down that email. So a lot of people just came and chatted to us. So there was absolutely hundreds of people there. Yeah, which was absolutely awesome. I think so. They sold about 4,000 tickets pre the event. And I think they said they estimated around probably 6,000 people went. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it was more.
I think it felt like more than that just on the Saturday.
On the Saturday was absolutely insane. The lines were outside of the door, and I had myself, my other dietitian, Annette, and one of our intern, Bryce's. We were all working at the store, and we were flat off our feet. I'm so glad there was 3 of us, because it was absolutely so hectic. And you know, a lot of what they said was a lot of the businesses just sold out of their food on the first day. And you know, so what they had prepared for the whole weekend. And then it's absolutely awesome. Like it just kind of shows how big the kind of vegan movement's become in the last, you know, couple of years. Because it's absolutely. I mean, it's
one thing that you know, one thing that a thought that occurred to me is that it would be ideal if everyone was going vegan for ethical reasons. You know, that would be the ideal motivation, obviously, because that is the bottom line, right? But we know that it doesn't work that way in the real world. Your experience has shown that.
Yeah, exactly. Example A. And also what I hear from my clients all the time, because one of the big questions I ask everyone is why they went vegan. Because I like to hear people's stories. And majority of the time they say they went in for one, like I would say 90% of the time, they say they went in for one reason, whether it be ethical or health or whatever, and they end up doing it for all like ethical, health and environmental reasons. So, you know, I feel like there's always going to be one reason why someone gets in it, but I think when you dive into the vegan community, you tend to learn about all the things. So you know you might start off by watching Forks Over Knives and learn about the health things. Then you go watch Earthlings and learn about the animal stuff, and then you go watch Cowspiracy and learn about the environmental stuff. So I think it's you know it's a journey, and everyone's journey is different. You know, some people go vegan overnight, and that's awesome. If you can do that, that's great. But like I know for myself, I couldn't do that, and a lot of people can't, and that's okay. So I always say, don't feel pressured. But the more plant-based foods that you get in your diet, the less animal products you consume naturally over time. So I always like to focus on, you know, what you can bring in rather than what you're excluding.
Right. Okay.
Like over time, you'll find that, you know, some people will take a week, some people will take a month, and that you'll naturally reduce those animal products out of your diet. And for some people, they prefer that. Yeah. Unlike, you know, it's like those meat alternatives and stuff like that they've got in the supermarkets these days are great for that transition phase. I generally say they're not overly healthy long term, but they are really good for when you are transitioning and you want to go from minced meat to like funky fields or change its name to purely meat.
Yes, I think they do serve a purpose there if they can get if they can help somebody transition and then you can help with the education in making the food, the vegan food that they're eating, a healthier version of the vegan food they're eating, making it more plant-based than processed.
Exactly. Yeah, so that whole food plant-based is
whole food plant-based.
When you're going to get the best in terms of, you know, your health and nutrition. Your body thrives on whole foods, not so much the processed foods, but also from like a, you know, animal, like not animal agriculture, but processing and agricultural point of view.
Yes.
Look, I haven't personally looked into the research of this, but I'm sure there's a lot more, you know, things like water and energy used up. You know, production and manufacturing of these more processed products than there would in, you know, sprouting some brown rice or chickpeas.
Yes, definitely. It's yes, from that point of view, some of this processed food can be not particularly brilliant at all. So it's yeah. And Damien from from Gardener Vegan says hello Damien, thank you for watching. So what I want to find out from you also is what I love hearing is success stories, turnarounds, like people that have come to you that without going into personal details, is it possible to sort of give us some ideas of some success stories where people have sort of presented with issues and then you've been able to help them out?
Yeah, for sure. So I had this one lady, so let's call her, what should I call her? Sarah, okay? So I started seeing Sarah, I think it was probably about 2 years ago. She got referred to me from a doctor for high cholesterol and also weight loss. So she was, I think she was probably around the 110, 120 kilo mark, maybe a BMI of about 35-ish. So she was overweight. 35. So between 30 and 35. So that's like the obese class 1 range. And yeah, so essentially she was super open to a change. So for her, I kind of talked to her about plant-based eating. So I talk to her like I do with a lot of my clients. I don't really say, go vegan. I always say, let's start to incorporate more vegetables. Let's start to incorporate more whole grains. Let's start to, reduce those frequency that you're having meat. And I always focus on red meats at first because initially, because that's the one we know is linked with the most chronic diseases. And rather having your chicken and your fish and incorporating more plant-based proteins, then more tofu, and just kind of keeping it as fish to last. And then we reduced out the fish. And while we were doing changing those proteins, we were trialing her on different sort of plant-based milks. So like your almond, I feel like you have to try a lot of different ones. And anyway, so she probably about maybe a month or 2 later, she started going, oh, okay, Kiah, I really want to, I told her to watch some documentaries too.
What did you recommend? Do you remember?
Forks Over Knives is generally my kind of go-to one. Like, look, I always say, there's always inaccuracies with most documentaries. There's always they always kind of exaggerate things, but the message is still the same. Seeing more plant-based foods is always going to be better for your health. And anyway, so we kind of, so for maybe about 2 months later, she started feeling a lot better, and like she came to me and she's like, "Here, I've like done all this stuff, like what you've told me, and I think I want to kind of go fully plant-based." And anyway, so she ended up going fully plant-based. And, I was working with her for about a year, and she ended up, I think she must have lost about 30 kilos or so. She got right within, she didn't get to the healthy weight range technically from a BMI perspective, but she got very, very close. But the big thing, she was able to sustain it as well. And she wasn't following any strict diet. She wasn't living a life of restriction. She was just eating foods that made her feel good. And the thing is, she was eating a lot more food than she was previously, because the thing is, what a lot of people don't realize is when you're eating a lot of processed foods, and especially like meat and cheese and things like that, they're very, very high in calorie density. So, you can eat a small amount and it doesn't feel like a lot, and it isn't a lot, but it's very high in calories, where from veggies and fruit, they're very, very low in calorie density. So you can eat a lot and make yourself feel full, but you're not going to kind of reach above your daily calorie needs or anything like that. And it's an easy way to lose weight and kind of more get to that weight that your body needs. Because the research shows that 98% of people that, lose weight gain it back within 2 years.
98%,
anyway,
did you say?
98%, I know.
Wow.
It's very depressing, I know.
Wow.
I'd be interested to do research looking at people doing whole food plant-based. So
actually, Damien,
it's definitely a lot better. Yeah.
Damien just said, I love how this happens. I eat so much more than I ever used to.
Yeah, exactly, because your body wants to be healthy, and I think the best results for my patients, or I generally see, is not when necessarily they lose weight or they reduce their cholesterol, but it's when they say, Kiah, I feel so much more energized and I feel so much healthier than before.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes my day, you know.
I
really like it.
That's so beautiful. You've given them quality of life back.
Yeah, exactly. And the good thing about her as well is she came in, she was actually referred for high cholesterol. And one of the big things that literally the thing that I educate people on with reducing cholesterol is the main thing that increases your cholesterol. So your LDL, which is your low density lipoprotein, which is your bad cholesterol. The main thing that increases that is your saturated fat. And that's what we primarily find from your meat, primarily your red meat and pork, but also all your meat products and all your animal products have saturated fat and cheese and cream. And so we want to limit those as much as possible. You want to limit all your animal products. And then what you want to actually increase is all your plant-based foods. So that's all your fruits, your veggies, your whole grains, your legumes, and like your soy products and nuts and seeds. And the reason for that being is the fiber that we find in that, so specifically the soluble fiber, grabs onto the cholesterol and takes it out of your body. So her cholesterol reduced, I think it was her LDL, which is the bad one, generally should be below 2. And I think it was sitting at probably about 4.5 at the start. And now it's kind of sitting at like 1.8 or 1.8 or 1.7. So she's gone off, like she was originally on cholesterol medication and she's gone off cholesterol medication and managed to kind of keep her cholesterol within that, you know, normal range where we want it to be just by eating, you know, a whole food plant-based diet.
I love it.
So she's done amazingly.
A couple of comments have come through there. Damien says he lost 40 kilograms eating more food because it was the right sort of food. You know, that's the, you know, well, I put that last bit in, but Emma gives you the thumbs up.
Thank you.
And Trish says my hubby eats like a plague of locusts.
My partner does that too, literally, and he's like a twig. Well, he's not a twig, but he's super fit and eats so much food.
Actually, one of the things you said there really got me thinking, and it's talking about the calorie density. Would that be the right word of foods? You know, one of the things, cause I think you're probably aware that I've been vegan almost 40 years now. It's 39 years, so it's a long time. And I was a twig when I started. I was so skinny that I don't think I'll even show the photos of how skinny I was because my ribs were sticking out because I was raw vegan. I was plant-based vegan. You know, so I was about as skinny as you. I was a head on a stick. Basically, you know, it's just like, they used to call me Dickie Knee, but that's if nobody's watched Hey It's Saturday, you know, they won't get that joke. But anyway, you know, the thing that's become like the plague of the modern veganism food situation is that we have so much processed vegan food now that for somebody. And this is the excuse I'm going to use for myself. For somebody who's a long-term vegan who went for decades without any of this stuff being around, right? Trying to keep me away from vegan ice cream and vegan chocolate and all that now is like, it's just, I mean, you know, what does a poor fellow like me do who's just piled on the tummy fat because he just loves the fact that it's like vegan heaven now? What do you recommend?
Look, I love a bit of veggie chocolate or, you know, I'm not going to deny that I don't eat that stuff here and there.
Yeah, but I don't know where to stop or when to stop.
Like your diet should be, you know, 90% or no, actually I should say, you know, 90, well, probably a bit more like whole food plant-based. And I'd say, you know, if you're kind of keeping those treats the weekend or at least, you know, once a fortnight, it's generally okay. When it starts to sneak in every day or, you know, a couple of times a week, that's when it kind of really adds up. And that's a huge issue that I'm starting to see is I'm starting to see a lot of people that are going vegan, but they're eating a lot of processed foods. And when you know, and like, look, I know we talked about, like people always say, oh, it's vegan, it must be healthy. But honestly, people believe that And that's kind of concerning for me, because, you know, I have people that just come, they're junk food vegans. They're eating processed foods only all day.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say you're going to get sicker than someone who's eating processed meat all day, because you'll probably just get just as sick. But it's not healthy, and it's not nutritious. And you know, that's people who are doing it from maybe an ethical point of view and just haven't maybe educated themselves. And look, people are fine to do it from whatever point of view that they want to. But a lot of the research that we know that shows, you know, vegans and vegetarians have longer life expectancy and everything, that's generally all based on the fact that they're eating those whole unprocessed foods and minimal processed products as well.
Okay. So just a couple of comments that come up there. Sim says, I'm the same with overeating goodies now because of being vegan heaven. And Damien says, get on Garden of Vegan Meals. Yes, Damien.
Well, actually, I do. I always recommend. So the Garden of Vegan Meals, it's actually really good that we've got these meal delivery services available these days. Like Garden of Vegan, they sent me some stuff a while back, and they're awesome. They're so tasty. And that is one of the things I tell people in their transitioning period. At the start, you know, if they just don't know what to cook, is, you know, go try those sort of stuff so they get a few ideas. But also, some people just they get so busy with their lifestyle and they just need something that's convenient. We live in this convenient society. We need convenient things, and that's why, you know, we finally have food delivery service that are a lot nutritionally better. You know, they're not just like, say, I don't know, 5.4 or something like that, where they have 2 vegan options. You know, when you go to like a restaurant and there's only 2 options, it's highly irritating. But like, there's so many different varieties as well. And people, I think, for, you know, people who need that, but also people that are just, you know, just unsure with what to eat. It's such a good way to make sure you are being healthy, because it's whole and processed food, and, you know, tastes good too.
Yeah, I think I like what you said there, that the studies that are done on the health benefits of are on whole food plant-based diets, not on processed vegan food diets, you know, which is, you know, it's obvious. It's just that it's I think it's the temptation thing, and I think it's, you know, it's just something that, as I say, as a long-term vegan for myself, it's like, wow, all the stuff that I denied myself, all the goodies that I denied myself for so long, and now it's just everywhere, you know. It's like, just, you know, and it's like, wow, there will come a point where I will recondition my thinking, or I will, you know, I will sort of become stricter with myself again and say, look, you know, you can't keep doing this, you know, because it's only happened in the last few years, where it's like, wow, there's vegan restaurants everywhere. Let's go and support them. Let's go and have this wonderful food. Let's have the vegan desserts. And, oh, look, if I'm going past the shops, I can go and get vegan this, vegan that. It's this vegan version of everything now, you know. This never used to be like this.
If you feel like you're getting into this trap, start just writing down what you eat, because when you start to write down what you eat, and this is the first thing I tell everyone who sees me, is when you write down what you eat, you become so much more consciously aware of how much or what you're eating and when you're eating it. And say, for example, the junk food stuff, then if you're a bit more consciously aware of it, then you can actually actively reduce it as well. So if you say, if you do your food diary, you see you're eating it every second day, move it to every 3rd day or every 4th day, or keep it to the weekends or something like that.
Good advice. I think that's great advice for anyone watching, and also for all the Harry Bolmans that may be around as well. I think very good advice for them as well.
I'm sure there's many people that
yes. Emma says good health is good advocacy, and which is well said, Emma. And it's interesting actually to note that for myself, just finishing up on talking about that I actually do exercise a hell of a lot. So I still have, I mean, you know, because I ride the bicycle to and from work. I ride long distances on the weekends. I walk every night that I've got free. I go for walks. I do home gym work. I do laps in the pool. You know, it's like, I'd hate to think how we would be if we weren't, how a person like me would be if I wasn't exercising. It's just like, wow. So yeah,
that's a big thing, because the one thing that a lot of people say is, my metabolism slowed down. And especially when you're reaching that, 40s, 50s, everyone's like, oh, I can't lose weight, my metabolism. Like, compare yourself to 5-year-old children and your activity levels. Majority of adults are not running around as much as we are as kids. And exercise, and even that, incidental exercise, trying to move around as much as you can, is so important for your health and keeping your body functioning. Like they say, you can't outrun a bad diet. But the same is, you need to make sure that you are moving each day as well.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, so all very good advice.
Yeah, so, exactly. And look,
so what is the when people present to you, and they need help, and they're not Harry Bolman, what are the other common sort of things that they present with? What health issues do they present with?
So probably my most common one is high cholesterol, which despite common thinking, majority of times, or I'd say 90% of times, is actually through diet that it goes high. Genetically, if you get high cholesterol, it's called familial hypercholesteremia, and your cholesterol levels are generally way higher than what they are when people present to me for just general high cholesterol.
Genetics play a part.
Genetics can play a part. Genetics will always play a part in, all conditions, but they do play quite a small part in the majority of people getting high cholesterol.
Okay, they only play a small part. Okay, yeah.
They only play a small part, unless you have a condition called familial hypercholesteremia.
Right, okay.
Which is a genetic condition where your cholesterol levels are really, really high.
And is that relatively rare?
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I had heard previously that genetics only played a small part. So, yeah, that's making sense to me. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The other one that's very common is high blood pressure. So that one comes about, again, by weight is a huge thing, but also, again, eating processed foods and having really, really high salt levels in your diet is a big thing. So one of the things we recommend is reducing red meat specifically and increasing majorly your intake of fruits and veggies. So I kind of use something called the DASH diet, which I modify, dietary approaches to stop hypertension. And that kind of encourages having 5 pieces of fruit every day and at least kind of 5+ cups of veggies. Another one I see a lot of is fatty liver disease. So with fatty liver disease, there's two main types. There's alcoholic fatty liver disease, which I don't see huge amounts of, but non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is really, really common. A big one that causes that is having diets high in saturated fats. So again, that's those animal products that we talked about before that can really kind of encourage that, and also being of a high body weight. Another huge one is diabetes, obviously. So diabetes is probably the most common thing I see. It is plaguing the nation, and it is preventable, which is highly irritating. And trust me, I work with a podiatrist here and back surgeons and stuff like that, and we see a lot of people with their toes getting chopped off. And it's not fun. And look, it's really sad. It's one of the leading causes of blindness in Australia. It's the leading cause of it's the leading cause of kidney disease as well. So what we're seeing today is we're seeing kids as young as 12 getting diagnosed with diabetes. Like,
I've heard that.
Not the genetic. Yeah, not genetic type 1 diabetes, but the lifestyle one. And then, what that means is they're going to be ending up with kidney disease by the time they're 30, sitting on dialysis units, having to have dialysis essentially is like a artificial like kidney that you have to sit there for quite a bit. Like you have to sit there for say 4 to 6 hours, at least 3 days a week for most people. That's the future. And then I also see like weight loss is a huge one. Bariatric surgery. So I work with a few surgeons doing their before and after surgery. I'm starting to see a few more vegans who want weight loss surgery, which is awesome, because that's definitely kind of a growing area. There's people that, they need that. Like I said, with the statistics that shows 98% of people who lose weight gain it back within 2 years. I do think it's awesome. And like the thing is, like, you know, people go get the surgery, but then they want to go plant-based, and I'm there to help them on that journey. And then eating disorders as well, I do a lot of. I see pretty much most medical conditions I generally see. Diet plays and people, I think people don't really realize diet plays a huge role in the majority of conditions that we see in Australia today. And, you know, a lot of the diseases that people tend to be dying from, so heart disease, you know, one Australian dies every 12 minutes from heart disease, and it's preventable. You know, diabetes, high cholesterol, a lot of these things are prevented, but are preventable by diet and, you know, exercise as well. And that is hugely frustrating for me.
It would be both frustrating and also, as you said earlier, it's sad as well, because it's not just the person themselves it's affected. It's the expansion, the flow-on effect from, you know, their family members, their kids, their parents, they're just their friends. Everyone that's connected with them is affected in some way. You know, it's and their quality of life for them personally, their ability to do things, to be happy in life, to be able to work effectively, to be able to maintain good relationships, and you know, even something that maybe we would take for granted, like traveling on a holiday or something, becomes something that's very hard or impossible for somebody to do that's in a position where they need to be on dialysis 3 times a week, or you know, some other thing. You know, it's just
exactly. And look, the thing is, from the outside, people don't look sick. You know, a lot of these conditions, you know, they look healthy or they look normal. You know, you know, it's very hard to, you know, say, oh, you know, you can't tell what's going on inside.
Yeah, that's until it's almost too late.
Exactly. And that's the thing is, you know, often if people aren't provided the education, and, you know, I think the thing is, for me, I see a different side of things because my partner's a teacher at a quite low socioeconomic school. So I actually understand things from that, like what's actually happening in the lower, from a grassroots perspective. You know, if kids, like, you can't expect kids to know, like, have any nutrition knowledge. If their parents aren't there or available or don't have any nutrition knowledge at all, how could they pass it on to the kids? So it's not so much it's not really an individual responsibility perspective. It's our entire health system and education system is completely broken, and it is ridiculous, the wait times to get into hospitals and the public health system. And, you know, I was having a rant about this the other day at the Vegan Expo. Like, even to see a dietitian under Medicare, you have to get something called a chronic disease management plan to be eligible for the Medicare rebate. So what this means is the people that can access me are always the people that already have the chronic diseases. They have to actually have something. They can't see me if they want to prevent those chronic diseases. And that kind of, you know, means that, you know, they're already sick and everything like that. Yes, you can kind of reverse it depending on how far it's progressed. But it also means that the people that can see dietitians privately, so like paying, you know, are the people that can afford it, which are generally a bit higher socioeconomic. So it kind of wipes out that lower level of society, and, you know, or like lower income of society. So, you know, there's like, health is not just like there's not one answer to it. There's, you know, schools, there's, you know, the fact that we have convenience stuff at the tip of our fingers. Like, I live in an apartment in the city, and there is so many Uber Eats drivers that just deliver, like, at our doorstep all the time. And it's just like, and, you know, we drive more, we don't walk as much. You know, there's just there was an interesting study the other day. It was talking about obesity rates, and I can't remember what it was, but the only time that country the obesity rates dropped was when they went through a famine, because they had none of the stuff. So, you know, there's, you know, there's so many. I could talk about for hours about all the issues of Australian society.
Well, as you say, it's a broken system, but you know, one thing is that people like yourself are doing the best you can to try and restore some balance to it, and to help give people quality of life. And I really appreciate that there are people like you doing that, and I think a lot of respect to you for doing that. So thank you so much for doing that. And I'm going to start winding up now as we come to the end of the hour. And I'll just see. I think we've got all the comments here. Let me just check. I haven't missed any. No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tag you and your business, Plant Nutrition and Wellness, in the live stream. It's not tagged currently, but I will after it's finished. I'll edit it so that people can get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you and find out how you can help them. And was there any final word of advice you wanted to give, or are you all good?
Eat more plants.
I love it. I love it. Okay, yeah, it's a good note to go out on.
Definitely. The biggest thing.
Great. I want to thank you so much for taking your time out to chat with me, and I hope that it's helped some people that are watching as well. And talking about which, this episode will be on YouTube hopefully by tomorrow night, and also I will be back in 2 weeks' time. And we've got a final comment there from David saying, missed out on the live stream, need to start from the beginning. Okay, good on you. So
it's pretty fun.
It's been great chatting with you, Kiah. It's been really fantastic. So and thank you for everyone that's been watching, and remember, guys, to live vegan and save lives. And yes, all very good. You didn't even need to practice. I like that. We didn't even rehearse that. And I'll see everyone in 2 weeks' time. Good night, everyone. Thank you for watching.